First, we'll follow up on the story we did earlier this week about Massachusetts' medical marijuana industry when Adam Riley took us inside a pot dispensary that's finally ready to open this summer, 2.5 years after the voters approved them. For some, the road has been a bit rockier. Medical Marijuana of Massachusetts, a nonprofit headed by former Congressman Bill Delehunt, was originally awarded 3 medical marijuana licenses. But just 5 months later, those licenses were revoked, along with those of about a half dozen others. The company filed a lawsuit, and a judge later overruled the decision, saying the state didn't follow its own rules. So while the company can move forward with 2 of the licenses, Delehunt has already moved on, leaving the company and now working with a group that's focused on opiate addiction. William Delehunt joins me now in his first TV interview since the lawsuit was decided. Congressman, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Jim.
Were you awarded the 3 licenses in part because of who you are, because of your political position?
No. I wasn't serving in Congress at the time. I couldn't fire anybody. I knew the then commissioner well, Cheryl Bartlett, who did an extraordinary job, by the way. She recused herself, and the group that I had put together scored the highest grades, the
State acknowledged that, by the way. But okay, let's go to the revoking licenses months later. There was an uproar. A former congressman gets 3 of the licenses, the public said. Did you lose the licenses because of you?
I think in part, okay. I think that, having a former congressman and getting 3 licenses
out of 20
took people aback. But if you looked at the group that we had put together, it was so strong that while I was surprised we got 3, when you examined it and scrutinized it, it's understandable.
Now, they say it had something to do with the fact that, half the money was diverted to a management firm that you were involved in. You say unethical adversarial process.
Absolutely false.
The charge against you. How false?
Real false.
What? No, I didn't mean how much. I mean, why false?
Well, first of all, because in the notice of deselection, they talked about the revenue. They failed. They had our financial reports, which showed that after 3 years, they were still running a loss. That's unethical.
Meaning that management firm would not have been making money and money wouldn't have gone into your pocket.
Absolutely.
So when you use the words unethical and adversarial, pretty tough words for a process, how are they unethical and adversarial? And obviously a court agreed to a point because they ultimately allowed this same firm that you left to open 2 dispensaries.
Because they should have put in the expenses and the return of capital to the investors out of the gross income. And by the way, every single officer had agreed not to take a salary for 3 years. We got in this for the right reason.
Congressman, why do you care about this? What is the right reason? Why did you get involved in this to begin with?
Well, when I was in Congress, I was one of the leaders in terms of dealing with the epidemic of opiates in this country.
You were one of the founders of the caucus on prescription drug abuse, right?
And I've seen what it's done. 1,000 people died in the past year here in Massachusetts. When in the mid from 2005 to 2009, in Iraq and Afghanistan, we lost 78 of our citizens. Contemporaneously, we had 3,200 who died from overdose of opiates.
But what is
marijuana can be an alternative.
And when you say alternative, Mayor Walsh has said, and he said to us on Boston Public Radio the other day, the reason he's willing to lead the charge against the ballot effort to allow for recreational use, could be on the ballot in November of next year, is because marijuana is a gateway drug. Do you agree with him?
Some people, I don't know enough. I think we need to do the research. Some people claim it's a gateway drug. Others are as adamant that it's an exit drug. I don't know the answer to that question.
Why'd you leave the medical marijuana of Massachusetts prior to the outcome of the suit?
Because I really do want to get involved in behalf of dealing with an issue that has been a passion of mine for almost 10 years.
This opiate addiction thing. And this is one of the rare circumstances, partisan politics. This is a rare circumstance where virtually every leading Republican in Massachusetts and every leading Democrat are on the same page, from the Maura Healeys to the Charlie Bakers, everybody in between. Do they have it right? Or are they pursuing the right path to deal with this epidemic?
I want to congratulate, Charlie Baker. I think that a lot of what it is bringing it to the attention of the public. When I founded the prescription drug abuse caucus, along with a leading Republican who chairs the Appropriation Committee from Kentucky, it was raising the profile. I felt very frustrated that very few were talking about it. Steve Tolman, who's now the head of the AFL-CIO,
He was a state senator, now head
state
of the
senator,
state
did a hell of a job, okay, bringing it to public attention. But for a long time, it didn't receive the scrutiny. It didn't receive the attention that it should have.
2.5 years, as I said, we have. Even though this, I think it's called Good Health in Brockton that Adam Riley did the report on, hopes to open in the next month. Let's assume the product is ready a month, 2, 3, whatever. It's going to be more than 2.5 years since the voters overwhelmingly said. By the way, with the opposition of all the DAs, you used to be one, but every single day
I was always a Maverick.
2.5 years. What's the damage that's been done, if you can calculate it, by a 2.5 year wait for people who need this?
Okay, well, let's put it this way, okay? If medical marijuana if the process had taken 6 months to a year to get the product out to those people who genuinely needed it to abate their pain, okay? Or if a physician had the right to utilize marijuana to mitigate pain, as opposed to OxyContins, as opposed to Bezos and all these other things, how many lives could have been saved? I don't know, but I think that's got to be on somebody's mind.
Whose doorstep should this be visited at, Congressman?
I don't want to lay blame, but the process was just a joke. It was absurd.
Bill Delehunt, good to see you.
Good to
Thanks
see
so much.
you.
Good luck with your new work. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.